To those in the know, all the activity over at the Schleicher County Historical Society and Museum in Eldorado, Texas, marks the weekly gathering of the Patches and Memories Quilting Circle. The circle has met faithfully on Tuesday afternoons for the past 20 years. Their current project, a king-size quilt, will take the group about a year to complete. Sylvia Griffin now leads the quilting circle.
The way I got involved in it, some ladies put it in the Eldorado paper. They were starting a quilting here at the museum. It would give us another day to open up the museum too, and school kids come and watch us. But I had some quilt tops that my grandmother had put together. And so I thought, I think I'll learn to do that. And I came and just kept coming each time because I loved it. But you get fellowship that goes with it too.
Quilting in a group is not new, as quilting was often a communal activity, and villages would come together in quilting bees to get their quilts done together. The quilters in the Patches and Memories Quilting Circle told us a bit about their own family history with quilting.
They just used what they had, and that one I just did out of scraps. I love it. It's all out of fabric that I've made other quilts from.
One of my favorite things was out of all the quilts that Mama quilted and passed on to the children, I could say, oh, Papa Clark had a shirt out of that, and you had an apron out of that, and that was my pajamas, and you know, that brought back a lot of memories because you could identify with the time. You know, I had a skirt out of that in 1942, you know.
This one was my grandmother put all these together. It's a Dresden, it's a flower garden, and she put these together, and then I did the rest. Oh, there it is. This is the first one that I did, and that is my grandmother's embroidery.
And do you think this was passed down to you, or do you think you would have picked it up anyway?
Maybe passed down to me, because when I was little, she'd be sewing and making things for me, and I enjoyed sitting by her machine and all. But she's the one that taught me to embroidery. My mother didn't care about sewing or anything like that. So I learned that love from my grandmother. And some of them are just so special that passed on down. I think my grandchildren and all will realize, because they'll know the story behind it, the tradition and all that. And I think I'm passing it on down to this one. This is my granddaughter. I gave that to her. I gave all my grandkids a quilt that we quilted for graduation. I'm hoping it passes on down.
Tell us a little bit about the term. So quilting, when you say quilting,
this is the quilting part. There is the piecing, and once that's done, then you put your lining down first on this frame, and then you put your batting, which is this, and it comes in big sheets also. You put that down and smooth that on top of that. Then you put the actual top piece on that.
We stretch it on a frame.
Yes, yeah. And you baste it with big stitches just to hold it together in place.
Yeah.
About when you get 12 inches done all the way across, then you take these C-clamps out and they hold it tight over there, and we turn it. This actually will make a full rotation. Sometimes, this last time we did it, you continue to roll this until we meet in the center. This is the only one that I've been a part of that's just been one color, and you know, so it's kind of monotonous a little bit, because usually you've got all these pretty bright pieces that you're working with in a pattern that you can see, you know, and it's just the stitches that makes this so pretty.
It is, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
One of my granddaughters was up here and watched us quilt, and she said, I want that quilt, and it was mine. And I said, okay. She said, but I want you to sign a piece of paper saying which one's mine. And when we finished it, I gave it to her. I get a quilting magazine, and one that I just finished out of scraps, it was in that magazine. And you go to quilt shops, and you can buy magazines, fabric, and
I try to stay out of those places. You can't go without seeing 3 you want to make, and I've got 3 quilts started at my house now, and I've promised 4. I've got 4, and I've promised I'm not going to start another one until I at least get one of those finished. But you might get tired of working on one, and you're excited about another one. You know, I'm real excited about one that she had done for one of her grandsons, and I'm just fighting myself to keep from starting that, but I'm just not going to until I get something, have a showing on something that I've already done.
I'm just so different. The last time I went and bought fabric, I bought enough for 3 quilts. And I think, all right, that'll last me a little while. It doesn't. I start one and I'll set up half the night and sew. If I'm home, I like to have a project, and I love it to be a quilt, to be my project.
I first was learning how to quilt at my grandmother's knee. She would have me to rip it out. She'd say, "You rip that out, child, your grandpa hook his toenail in that and hang himself," because it would be such a long stitch, you know. Well, I started quilting probably by the time I was 6, you know. I was always at Mama's knee, at Mama Clark's knee, and taught to quilt when Mother was off working, you know.
You've quilted for like most of your life, but did you go off and have a different career and then come back to quilting?
Yes, I'm a retired hairdresser, and I didn't get to start with this group until, I guess it's about 8 years ago now that I started.
Okay.
I was quilting on my own at home, but I didn't come up here with the girls until I quit working.
And how is it different working with a group rather than by yourself?
Oh, it's all the difference in the world. I mean, it's self-satisfactory to work alone, you know, because you're creating something, but it's the fellowship that, you know.
Friendship.
Yeah.
Us ladies went to Rio Dosa this past summer, and while I was gone, my daughter cut out one of my quilts for me, and that's where it wears me out, leaning over, cutting out. And she saw the pattern that I wanted, and she came and stayed with my husband while I was gone, and she cut it out. And the minute I got home and unpacked, I was ready to start sewing on it.
Yeah, that was a big treat.
It was, that was a treat. Actually, all 3 of us were in that little trip to Rio Dosa.
We play bridge together also, what we were doing in Rio Dosa.
We went up there and stayed 5 days, played bridge every day.
We keep score.
We do, but it's more fun and getting out and being together, being in the mountains. How many years?
We think 3.
No,
it's more.
5 or 6.
Wow.
Princess, you started, how old were you when you started?
Well, I was 20. I'm an interior designer, and I work here out of Eldorado.
Wow.
My mother's sisters all quilted, and they taught me how to quilt. They would piece a quilt, and on their birthday, they would celebrate, and everybody would get together, and they would quilt that quilt. So that's how I learned how to quilt.
Her stitches are to perfection. Hers looks like she's used a
Sewing machine.
electric sewing machine.
And then when did you join the quilting circle then?
Oh, I was one of the charter members, 2000 in what year?
In 2000.
2000.
These are full of quilts that we have quilted.
Can you show me some of your favorites?
This one turned out really pretty. And this is one of the ladies that was with us when we first started, and she was in her 90s when she stopped coming. She's passed away. There's some on display.
Started when? How long has it been?
Has it been a couple of years?
I'd say maybe 3 years.
3 years. I'm from Fort McCavitt, and I heard about these guys, and I came and said, I want to learn how to do this stuff because I quilt at home, but my quilting is not as perfect as them. Nobody taught me, but my mother sewed, and she passed away. So I only cut the squares for her, and she passed away, and I was a little kid. So I just picked it up by myself. So I only know how to make square quilts and triangle quilts. And if they're a little crooked, my kids love them. But these ladies taught me how to sew the perfect way.
Yeah, we've loved meeting Stella and having her part of our little group, and miss her when she's not here.
Feel kind of a connection to your mother when you're sewing, or is that something that's important?
Yes. It's the only thing left of my mother. I remember that.
So are they related?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mother, daughter, granddaughter, 3 generations.
Oh, we have all generations in here.
The granddaughter works for the newspaper here in Eldorado.
Do you like to do this as well?
I personally don't know how, but I've been watching it my whole life. So one of my daughters does. She likes to do it.
Her daughter, when she was about 3 or 4 years old, she was interested in riding my side, and she started correcting me and saying, Nani, you're getting out of line. Nani, that's not right. And I was like, you're going to go play with the other kids if you're going to critique my work. My age, and this stage with the corona going and everything, I've kind of kept myself at home. And when I'm alone, I'm a widow, and I just, when you're there alone 24/7, and some days the phones doesn't even ring. And, if I'm not going anywhere, I may stay in my pajamas all day. What's the point in fixing your hair, fixing your face? And if you've got a commitment like this, you look forward to it, and it gives you a reason to get up and get going. And when you're 81-ish, you kind of need something to get you up and going. So
You've got to
So it's
think.
it's a great thing to have. Everyone needs a hobby of some sort to be involved in, especially as you get older. So it's a great thing to have a reason.
When we started, we had 2 going at the same time. We had 2 frames up,
That's how fast you'll work.
and we had that many people.
We had lots of people.
Women. And we did one for the members and then one for the public. And they would pay, and we'd put the money in the museum. And we've lost a lot of them. When they're 80s and 90s, some of them stopped coming, so. And then
Bertha
with
was
some
here
that
till
passed
she was
away.
95, she was still quilting with us. Bertha, when she
Oh,
was
yeah.
95. And she loved it better than any of us, I think.
She loved the fellowship.
Yeah.
And that's something that's a big part of it is
It
you get
is.
to use her. This is
We
when-
kind of know what's going on in each other's lives, all their kids, grandkids. On each one's birthday, we will
Yeah.
celebrate and have a luncheon or a birthday cake. And
So is it kind of something that feels like a support system, or even like a little bit of family?
Yeah, it gets to be like family. Everybody's connected some way or other.
The Patches and Memories Quilting Circle have found a community in their shared love of the craft. And just like their name suggests, quilting seems to be more than just a hobby to them, but a way to gather, create memories, and to remember one's own history and family traditions.
this last 6 months has been kind of rotten.
Yeah, here for everybody this year.
After the whole pandemic is over, if anybody sees this video and wants to come join you guys, are they welcome to? What do they have to do? Like, what's the process to
Just
join?
walk in the door and say, I want
Right.
to quilt. Or
That's
they
what-
just walk in.
That's what Stella did. She said,
Yeah.
some lady told me that probably I could come over here and quilt with y'all. We said, yay.
Yeah.
Or you can come in and say, I can't do this.
And we say, sit down and here's the
I'm
needle.
done.
Yeah. We do